There we are. So now we're live, and
Hello?
thank you, Jan, for joining me today. Um, so, what hardiness zone are you in?
Hardiness zone, USDA zone 5. And
Okay.
you know how they changed it, right?
Mhm.
So some people might even say USDA zone 6,
Okay.
but I'm in a, I don't go by that. I go by 5.
Okay. Okay. And so, can you tell me what state that is?
Oh, I'm in New York State. I'm about
Mhm.
45 minutes north of New York City
Nice.
in a relatively rural area. I
Okay.
live in a little town, and Westchester County, New York, northern Westchester,
Beautiful.
and it's very wooded and very beautiful.
Yeah. Nice.
The Hudson River Valley.
Oh, beautiful. So, I know we were talking a minute ago about taking this technology out in the garden. We're
Oh,
up
that would
north.
be that. I really would like to do that with you sometime, Bren,
Yeah,
when there's something to show you,
sure.
because that's such a great idea. Like go on a garden walk.
Yeah. There's we can talk after this as well. There's other technology you can use to do that. Not quite the same setup, but there's another platform called Periscope. Which if
Oh,
you have, are you you have a mobile phone, I assume, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Um, I'm not sure if it's on the Android devices, but I know it's on the iPhone. And it's another fun way you can just stream live.
Can you imagine?
Yeah,
This
I imagine it. I wish I had more
connected
time.
world. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so right now your garden's pretty much sleeping, right?
Yeah, this is the time when we start. Well, I'm not dead in the water, however, because I do
Yeah.
designs for people.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually quite busy because we design it all and then are ready to jump in the spring.
Nice.
Although I'd like a little downtime, frankly.
Yeah. I don't know. I like to keep growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
With my
yeah.
dome and all.
Where are you located?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh,
Yeah, so hardiness zone 5B, 6. I keep it the 5B.
and what part of Ohio?
I'm in Northwest Ohio.
Northwest.
Yeah, it's just south of Toledo.
Toledo. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Got
and
it.
about 2 hours from Columbus. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, out in farmland. I live out in the country. Oh, I'm getting a little echo again. I don't know what that's about. There it goes.
Do you hear it from me?
I heard a little, but we're okay now. So let's dive right into this. So how long have you been gardening?
Gardening. Well, I've been in the landscape and horticulture profession for 45 years.
What? You don't look
Yeah.
that old.
Yeah, 45 years. I started as
When
a
you were 5?
in, yeah, right. Thank you. I love you so much. Thank
Seriously.
you. I started in Japan as an intern. I was in college. It was
Nice.
1970, so isn't that 45, I think?
Wow.
So I worked in a landscape architecture office as an intern. The only gaijin, the only foreigner, and the only woman.
Wow. That's
And
very
I had
cool.
to learn Japanese at the same time. Oh my goodness! So when it was a funny story because when I learned Japanese, I was copying what all of my coworkers said. Did my did my feed stop on you?
I can hear you just fine.
Because my filming looks a little slow on my.
It's okay. It's all different ways. But keep
Okay,
going.
I learned Japanese and I copied what the men said. And of course, I didn't realize that Japanese had a male language and a female language. And so I was like talking like a sailor, but I had no idea. It was very funny because the Japanese would look at me every time I tried to talk to them in Japanese and like be aghast at what I was saying.
Right?
But that's what started me off, and I went to all the Japanese gardens
Hmm.
at a very young age,
Gorgeous.
and I was totally enamored with those beautiful gardens, and they stayed with me always.
Yeah.
And
I bet.
And so when I went on to study landscape architecture at the University of Hawaii, and that only helped, even though I'm from New York City, right? And those were the days when you could do things with very little money. I have to say that tuition at University of Hawaii was like $200 and some a semester.
Wow.
I know. But so I came back to New York, and I had my degree in landscape architecture from University of Hawaii, and I realized I really didn't know how to do anything. I knew how to draw pretty pictures and all. And so I went to work for a French gardener at a hotel here in New York called Mohunk Mountain House.
Nice.
And he had won the award for the best hotel grounds in America the year before. So, as you can imagine, he was a master.
Yeah. And
he didn't want to hire me because I was a young girl. What was the young girl doing in this profession back then? He was French. That kind of made it a little harder. And he would hardly pay me, so I set up a tent, paid $15 a week for my rent on the tent, and went to work for him. And that's where I learned gardening, professional gardening. And he did everything organic, which was quite amazing, because back then in the 70s, it was the era of Miracle Grow. You know what I mean? So for him to be organic wasn't forward thinking. Everybody thought it was backward thinking.
Right.
But of course, he knew better. And so I got trained by the best. And that is what's really served us. Because after that, I went and got my master's degree in planning. But then my husband and I, 30 years ago, started a landscape design and build firm. And we draw it and we install it all the way to the flowers. And that's what I learned from him, was all the soil preparation and all the hort techniques. And it's really great.
That's very cool.
So that's how far back I go with gardening.
No, that's awesome. So with your earlier days with the Japanese gardens and whatnot, do you share any of that on your website at all? It sounds like a great blog post.
I do, okay. And also in my book, Heaven is a Garden, I talk about how it affected me, my time in Japan. And I guess it's just something that's in me. I just respond so deeply to the Japanese culture and the Japanese aesthetic. I do all, other kinds of gardens, but my own personal aesthetic is more towards that. I tend towards the philosophical. Right.
No, that's good. That's awesome. Yeah. So that was my next question. I was going to ask you what inspired you to write your book. I have your book here. It's a beautiful book.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful.
Heaven is a Garden. Yeah. Designing serene outdoor spaces for inspiration and reflection. That's the part I love. Bren, this is how it happened. I was so entranced by my experiences in the Japanese garden that I then went and said, well, I would like to create spaces like this for other people. I want other people back in America to feel how I felt. It was just like you were in another world. And so I went to landscape architecture school and learned everything. But of course, guess what? They didn't talk about how to create outdoor spaces that made you feel good. They talked about drainage and accessibility and all those very important aspects of design. Right. But nothing about what are the secrets to creating a magical outdoor space that enhances well-being. So for all these decades, I have been researching it, trying to incorporate whatever I've learned into my plans. And after all these decades, I decided, you know what? I've got to share what I've learned, because it's not something that you read in books. Right. You don't and so that was very important to me. This was something that you can't find, there's so many great garden books out there. Let's face it. I mean, boy, I'm always amazed. And they're getting better and better. I just
and nothing beats like having it in your hand, you know, where you can actually flip through it and look, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, and so that's cool too, but you know,
that is cool. That is cool. And I wanted to explain to people. Yeah, I've got it too here.
Yeah,
I wanted to explain to people the design techniques that I've discovered are so useful. So, for example, and have you had a chance yet to look through the book?
Oh yeah, the minute I got it, I was flipping through it down my driveway. It's a good quarter-mile walk.
Oh, that's great.
Like, ooh, and I fell in love with I love the steps. You know, the steps. It's on page 7 actually, with the grass. The grass. I love that. I have like a little section in my garden. I'd love to mimic that or copy that in some way.
Now those grass steps, you know, that is an old tradition. It comes from England, and then Beatrix Farrand, who designed Dumbarton Oaks in Washington, she did it there. And so I saw them in Dumbarton Oaks back in the early 70s, and I said, oh, this is such a great idea. It's a non-expensive way to have grass steps. You want me to show you, or?
The picture? I can do it, hon. You just keep talking.
Oh, you can do it. You're right.
Can you see it?
A great, page 7, and this one too. Here.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yes. And by the way, most of the photos in the book are projects that I've done.
Very cool.
Right?
Okay, wait. I got one question. So, okay, like particularly on this one where the steps are really small.
Yeah.
How the heck do you mow that?
That's it. Okay, first of all, you use a weed eater, because my company, we maintain it. Use a weed eater, but the other very important thing for those steps, in case you're going to do it, is you have to have a really good pitch, so that when it rains, the water runs right off.
That's great. That's good to know.
That's really good. Like, so we're talking like a 1/2-inch pitch. Now look at these. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
But those are very pitched. Those are, when I say 1/2-inch, that means a 1/2 inch per foot.
Okay.
So if you make the tread 18 inches, a 1.5 feet, and it's a 1/2 inch per foot, then it's 3/4 of an inch higher in the back than it is in the front of the step.
Very cool.
I hope I didn't just lose you.
No.
With the
no.
But so that's very important for grass steps, is the pitch of the lawn on the tread.
Okay. Just a quick shout out. Houseplant Guru is on with us right now. She's in the chat room.
Great.
So she says hello. Lisa.
Oh, great. Yeah, I hope I don't get too technical with all this, but the grass steps really are a great, inexpensive solution. Even if it's just like 3 risers that you make out of fieldstone. We've made them out of rock we found on site. You know, with the risers of rock, right?
Yeah.
And it makes it so special, I think. As long as you do the weed eater.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm thinking about silly echo again for some reason. Can you hear it on my end? Yeah. It might just be on my phone. I don't know. Maybe Lisa can say something there if you hear an echo.
Do you hear an echo when I talk?
No, I just hear it on it might just be me. Actually, now it went away again. Oh, every now and then it sounds like a jet engine taking off. Okay, maybe it's just me.
I have a feeling it's my computer. My computer gave me trouble this morning.
Okay, no worries. This is fun. We're having a good time. I will touch back with you on that. I know I will, because I really do. I have this neat little section out in my front area where I have roses, and it's kind of on a slope where I just imagine having steps like that.
And you can make them as wide as you want. You could make them 2.5 feet wide.
Nice.
If you want. And of course, then the pitch is really pitched.
Very nice.
So you might only need 2 risers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They have something like that. The first one, well, I've always seen them in books, but the first one I ever actually walked down, that same idea with the grass, have you ever been to Chicago to George Ball's garden?
No, I've never been to George Ball's garden. I would love to.
You need to go. I can give you their email. Next time you're up there, get a hold of the folks at Ball. They'd gladly give you a tour. It's beautiful.
I would definitely do that. Definitely.
Yeah. So let's see, how exciting. So what inspired you to write this book? I mean,
okay, so you can see that I've been doing these projects for all these years.
Yeah.
And I would explain to the clients, I'm doing this because it's a sheltered corner and people like to sit there. And as I'm explaining this, I'm thinking to myself, boy, nobody knows about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final straw was that I went to teach at Columbia University in New York City.
Okay.
In the graduate program there, landscape design.
Mm-hmm.
And the students were saying to me, everything I was describing to them, they said, you should put this in a book. So for about 5 years, no kidding, I would get up at 5 in the morning and work till 7, and then I'd have to go off to work. And then I wrote the book, and I took the photos, and then I had to find a publisher.
Yeah.
It was quite an endeavor, and I was determined to share this with other people.
It's gorgeous.
So anyway.
So tell me about the book. I mean, you've got lots of, I mean, this obviously isn't all just your garden, right?
Yes, it is. I mean, my clients, people that I've worked for.
Okay.
They're not my garden. No, my garden is very small. I have a very small garden.
That's all right.
Those are the people who can honestly, they can afford, planting 20 roses at a time, whatever.
Right. Oh, and it's just beautiful. But, even though, I mean, I'm assuming these are large from what you...
Some are large and some are small, actually. And I do have some photos of my own little yard in here. Yeah. But, there's some that are just, big ones, little ones. Mm-hmm. I'm not... I'm not particular, frankly. But...
Well, but if they are big yards for the presentation you did with this, the little, the garden rooms that you've put together in the feature in here, they're gorgeous. I mean,
Thank you.
Any size yard could put something together like
that's what I was hoping.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, I talk about dry streams, which is this beautiful design feature from Japan, frankly, that I learned in Japan, where it connotes a stream. And I don't know if you can see this.
It works just hold it.
Now that's in my backyard, and I have a very tiny backyard, and that's at the very edge of my little tiny lawn.
It's gorgeous.
And, so you don't have to have big properties, but I do talk about dry streams and how they work as a drainage area where it collects water when it's a rainstorm. But at the same time, it's also a beautiful feature that you can arrange your plants around. So it kind of shows off the plants at the same time.
Nice.
Like that right there.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
What you can do with a shady area. Oak leaf hydrangeas. I'm sure you can plant all these. The hellebores, the Japanese painted ferns. I mean, we could talk plants I could talk plants all morning here.
That's awesome.
Grass steps is sustainable, right? Because it's not too much paving. And then the dry streams. I'm trying to also promote the sustainability. Native plantings now, and
I think you did that quite well in the book. There's a lot of my favorite grasses in here too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, things that don't require a lot of water, or if you're dry, you've got a lot. Yeah, it's great. It's a beautiful book. So
thank you. The best part of it is the back where I talk about color.
Yeah.
The color and how color affects us,
yeah.
And how if you want a serene outdoor space, you go with the cool colors.
Yeah. It is neat how you break it up. Like each color has its own section.
I know.
Gorgeous.
Thank you. I'm so glad you like it.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's awesome to talk to you. We have quite a people in here watching, so that's awesome. If anybody has a question, you're welcome to put it in the message bar on this blab. Or how could people get a hold of you, Jan, if they'd like to talk to you later?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm on Twitter. It's Jan Johnsen 23. That's SEN. And I also have a garden blog called Serenity in the Garden, and they can contact me there on the comments section. And then lastly, my company has a website, and that's JohnsenLandscapes.com. JohnsenLandscapes.com. They can always contact me there too.
That's great. And then, so I have to ask you, because I still can't believe you've been gardening as long as you have, but you know, I think the garden does that. I think it makes you stay youthful and healthy. Oh. You look great.
Absolutely. I am totally convinced of it, you know, rather than spend my life sitting underneath fluorescent lights, you know, almost every single day I'm outside.
Yeah. And we've got,
you know, it doesn't make the nicest hands, but
we've been pretty lucky with the weather lately too, haven't we?
Oh, it's been great. We do outdoor decorations for some people that we work for, and this has been the best season ever. It's been so much, 60 degrees.
Can't beat that.
I know.
So if someone new to gardening happens to watch this presentation, do you have any tips you would give them about gardening?
Yes. And I'm sure you've talked about this before. It's all about the soil. It's all about the soil. I remember when I was studying this at University of Hawaii, I had to take soil science, and I went, "Oh, I don't want to study soil science. I just want to learn about plants. I just want to know about plants." And of course, you know, when I went to work for the French gardener, he just drilled it into me. You don't put a $10 plant in a $2 hole. You put a $2 plant in a $10 hole. And so I tell people, take the money, spend it on the soil. Buy those expensive soil amendments, or make your own compost, or use the green sand, do the compost teas, everything. And then buy the little plants, the small plants, and then you put them in that soil and they just take off. That's, you know, rather than what most people do, which is spend no money on the soil, pay it on these big bushy plants, and then they sit there and do nothing. Right? Struggling.
Right. That's important. So the roots.
Study all about the soil.
Yeah, the roots can get established, and
you know. I say to people, I say, how do you think plants absorb water and nutrients? And they say, well, they suck them up. I say, what? Oh, like a pump, like roots have a pump or something that sucks up? That's not how it works. The way it works is that they form an association with fungi. So without the fungi, they can't absorb the nutrients. So you have to put in all that organic fun stuff to make the fungi happy.
Right. And that totally freaks me out.
I feel strongly about that.
Maybe can you kind of explain a little bit about the fungi a little, because it can kind of freak people out. You know, it's like, ew, I don't think I want that. You do.
Yeah, they think it's disgusting. They think it's slimy. It's not. It's not at all. It's, if you ever have some wood mulch or something, and you turn over the wood mulch and you'll see these little white fibers, almost little thread-like fibers or threads. That's the fungi. That is almost like the internet of the soil, and that's how it all kind of gets transported. So the more you see all that little white fingers or threads, the better it is. And so when you buy fertilizers now, you buy fertilizer that says with mycorrhiza. That's the word for the fungi that creates that. Or you use the fish emulsion or the compost or the compost tea, and that all encourages the fungi to be happy, and it's not slimy, it's not dirty, it's just in the soil. and mycorrhiza is almost microscopic. And then, but it creates that association so that everything works together. Soil is not dead, you know, soil is alive.
Right. That's awesome.
And,
that made it not so scary and gross.
No, it's not gross though. I don't like slugs. I don't like all that slimy stuff. No, that does nothing to do with it. And you know, organic soil, because it's alive, it's warm. And I've had situations where we've been planting a lot of bulbs in the fall, and we'll get the hard freeze, and we still have all these bulbs to be planted. And the healthy organic soil is still warm and still malleable, and you could friable. And the kind of dead soil with nothing in it, it's hard as a rock. It freezes right up because there's no heat.
Yeah.
And so that's another reason. You know,
yeah,
it's warm soil. It's warm.
How fun. So did you put a lot of bulbs in this year for spring?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
Oh yes. Yes, we do a lot of bulbs. And you know, 2016 is the year of the allium.
Is it really?
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, they said 2016 year of the allium. So I have a feeling next year you're going to see millennium alliums and summer beauty allium, all sorts of, you know, the alliums are the flowering onion.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm audience there.
Yeah.
And you can plant certain alliums in the fall, you plant other alliums in the spring.
Okay. I did. I put, see, I'm not very good with the names, but I put the larger, I probably did a dozen of the, you know, when the ball gets really big.
Masters,
yeah.
Big lollipops.
Yeah, they're pretty. So,
and they're expensive, but they're so rewarding. They're very
expensive. They last. I mean, I have some that I put in like 8 years ago, and they still come up. So
I know. They're great. And the deer, we have deer problem here. The deer don't eat them.
Really? Oh, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. So
I've always planted it close to the house, just in case, because I didn't know if the deer like them or not. But that's good to know.
No, that's another reason they're probably so popular, because we have a lot of deer where I live. Terrible. Terrible.
Very nice. So, so I hope everybody goes over to your website and checks out your book. I know it's
and my Facebook page. I have a Facebook. I just forgot. Heaven is a Garden, Facebook. Okay. I love Facebook.
Nice.
But thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing the word. I really appreciate it.
And then hopefully we can get you on Periscope or something this spring so you can show off your beautiful bulbs in your garden that you just planted, right?
Oh, I would love to do that. Okay. I would love that, Bryn.
Great. All right. So I'm going to